I'm Felicia.
And I'm Allie.
And we're the brains behind Keep Your Head Up KW. This is episode 65 of Concussion Talk Podcast. And today we are talking about how brain injuries have unexpectedly helped us prepare for the pandemic. We've had the pleasure of being on Concussion Talk Podcast episode 55, where we had the opportunity to share our concussion stories with Nick and our plans for Keep Your Head Up KW.
This episode is sponsored by HeadCheck Health. HeadCheck Health bridges gaps in concussion care through simple, powerful technology. Join organizations like the Canadian Football League, Truck Factory Racing, the Canadian Junior Hockey League, Eastern Washington University, and Volleyball Canada, who rely on HeadCheck to improve communication and optimize care. Visit headcheckhealth.com for more information. So the reason that we wanted to talk about how our brain injuries have unexpectedly helped us prepare for the pandemic is that we've kind of noticed that it's one of the strengths that have come out of being someone who's gone through the tough journey of recovering from a brain injury. And one thing that we've both noticed, and something that we've heard from many other concussion or TBI survivors, is that these past few months immediately brought us right back into the early parts of recovery. And things like having to stay home and limiting activities and it being for an undetermined amount of time seemed a lot more okay to us because we've been through it before, and we knew that we kind of have strategies that we've leaned on before to get us through it. And to be honest, the last time we had to do it, at the beginning of our injuries, it was a lot harder because it wasn't the whole world shutting down, it was just ours. And I think that at first during this time, it was kind of like, okay, we have to do this again, but this time everyone's in kind of the same boat. We're all in a kind of similar situation, so at least there's that. And kind of thought back to our strategies that we used during recovery and kind of used those as our to create a mentality of how we were going to get through it. So I think, Felicia, do you want to kind of talk about how things have been on your end?
Yeah, so for me, I've found this situation, like the pandemic and everything, to be frustrating at times. It's brought me back to the early parts of my recovery process. I do find the pandemic, I studied public health in university, so I find it interesting, and I like keeping up to date with the news and articles and the trends, epidemiology side of things. I like keeping up with that kind of side of stuff, because I know sometimes getting too much of it can add to your stress and stuff, but I find that interesting. But I do feel that the social aspect, I'm a very social, outgoing person, and that part of it, not being able to be with friends and be around people, has really brought me back to the beginning part of my injury and being isolated, and I think that's taking a big emotional toll on me, and I think that's probably why I haven't been feeling so great. Part of it. I'm also just frustrated because I'm not working anymore due to the pandemic, obviously, and then life is just at a slower pace, and I'm not feeling great, and I'm frustrated because I'm things have been slower and I'm not working, and I'm just kind of confused as to why I'm not feeling great. And so obviously I'm kind of frustrated on that end. but trying to stay positive, and I'm looking at coping strategies and like things that we are posting on our Instagram to try to like get me through. But I mean, it's definitely a tough time for everyone. What about you, Allie?
Yeah, I'm with you on like feeling like my symptoms flare up more than usual. And this, I'm in the same boat where I'm kind of like, hey, why is this happening? Like if I'm taking days to rest, like this isn't normal. And I think I've just kind of taken like a glance at like my last 2 days when I do have a hard day, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I had to order my groceries on my phone, and like that involves a lot of like scrolling and screen time. And when I talk to my family and my friends, I have to be on my screen. And just like I know from the past that stress tends to worsen my symptoms. So um yeah, I think that probably has a lot to do with like how symptoms are kind of like getting worse. I don't know if you found a similar, like, if you feel that that might explain some of your increased symptoms.
Yeah, I I do. I feel like definitely with screen time for sure. Obviously, way more Zoom calls with friends, and um, yeah, like obviously TV and stuff. Like trying to limit it, but like there's only so much you can do, and I don't know. It's just such an unprecedented time, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, it's weighing on
Yeah,
us all.
yeah. I found that like one of the things that I've found the hardest is that like I rely on so many coping strategies to be able to push through things with my symptoms, and that something that I wasn't expecting was that like having to stay home and adapt to new surroundings just like really changed a lot of my like ways of doing things, and like kind of eliminated some coping strategies that are really important for me. And that made it really hard, still makes it really hard for me to like get schoolwork done and just like take care of myself. For example, um, like one thing that is really important for me is like having a really quiet and calm environment for me to get work done, because like the screen alone is so draining for me, and if I have anything else going on, it is like nearly impossible for me to get anything done. And like being stuck at home and having roommates who are also like not working and at home, it's like always super loud, and like there's always so much going on. And normally when that happens, I would like go to the library or like go to my parents and find a quiet space to get work done, but like I don't have that option. So that made it really, really hard for me to get work done.
Yeah.
And I actually, in the moment, like I was like, oh, well, I'll just switch to nights. And like, I tried to adapt that way. Like, I tried to like sleep in later so that I could stay up later and actually have a quiet space
Works.
to work. But then my body was so thrown off, like, because I just like, I'm not the type of person that can get work done late at night. So then I was like not getting enough sleep and not getting any work done, and it was just terrible.
Oh
But
gosh.
I did try different, I tried a lot of different ways
Hmm.
to make it work. But in the end, I just had to like break things down into small pieces, get done what I could in a day by only working like an hour or two, like whatever I could manage. And yeah, it took a lot longer than I planned, but yeah, it's that's been I think the hardest thing for me is like things like that I rely on to get work done. And then um just yeah, I agree with the like social support has been tough, because like I like Zoom calls just make my like my brain hurts so badly. Like all of the like different movements happening on like the little squares. Like I
And
just
then it's
can't.
like, and then they like glitch out, and then it's just like you can't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the games, like trying to play like games with friends, those things are so hard. I usually just at this point, I'll join a call, but I just don't look at the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot to
Um,
adjust to, for sure.
yeah. And then another thing for me that's been hard is like my mom is a nurse at the hospital, so I've been really worried about her. And then like I have just like other family members and their scenarios, like, and I just like I
Hmm.
am like so much of my headspace goes towards like thinking about other people, and I think I've been more stressed out but for other people in the situation than I have for myself, just because
And
like
that,
I have a strong sense of like I know I can do this, I can get through this, and like I've done this before. It doesn't matter how long this takes, like I know it's all gonna work out. But it's like other people that I really worry about.
and then that worrying doesn't help like us at all, like our symptoms at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so
Exactly.
yeah, because of these, we've tried to post, and we've kind of made a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Uh, I don't know. We've started something on Instagram where we've created a pile of these tools, and during the recovery process that are applicable right now, we've modified them due to the pandemic. So if you want to check them out on Keep Your Head Up KW, and you can give them a better look. It's a great overview of how you can apply these coping strategies and tips that we have found to be helpful into your life, but also allow them to work with the pandemic. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
they're all things that we found to be helpful like during our recovery from our injuries, but also just good self-care tools for anyone in any point of their life, and definitely things that are applicable right now.
yes.
So one of the
So a
main
couple.
things that we like right away we were both thinking was like we need a routine.
Mhm. So the importance of a routine, like, not only helps with the unknowns of the recovery process, but also the predictability allows to help reduce anxiety and the mind to cope with like what's going on in a more desirable way. It also helps like blending together. I've noticed this helps so much. So like I try to wake up at a decent time, like I'll eat my breakfast, do a light workout of sorts, and then either like go for a walk or like schedule the work that I have to do. I don't know, if you just schedule your day better, you're not just kind of laying around or like, I mean, if that's what you need to do that day, like there's definitely a lot of days I do that too because I'm not feeling great or whatever. But um, it definitely helps with kind of also getting my mind off of everything that I'm worrying about, or yeah, all my anxiety, or even if I'm not feeling great and I can't, let's say, like do a little workout or can't look at my screen, I'll try to go for a light walk or just something to kind of even get my mind off of like my head, for example. Like if I have a pounding headache, and I'll get my mom or dad or someone or my sister to go for a walk with me so that I'm not by myself, obviously. And um, yeah.
Yeah, I find like keeping a routine can also help with managing my symptoms. Like if I have a day where I know that there's a lot that I need to get done that's going to be really draining, like things like screen time or like reading, like things like that,
Yeah.
I find that a routine can help me like pre-plan what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it so that I have the energy when the time comes. So
Oh,
I'll
for
put
sure.
like, oh, like get this reading done from like 9 to 10, and then I like the next thing that I schedule after that, even though I know I'm going to be at home and and I technically have all day, then I'll schedule in something that is more like recharging for me, and then I'll have the other time built in. Because the way, like for me, it's so easy for me to be like, oh, I have all day, and then I'll lounge around all morning and then be like, oh crap, and now I have all this stuff to do at night. And it's not possible for me to work that much all at once.
Yeah, I'm so like, I know that my head is at the, like, and my symptoms are the best in the morning. So that's why I do a workout if I'm feeling it in the morning. If I wake up with a headache, I obviously don't do it. But like, in my work, I do in the morning. So if me and Allie have a meeting, like, I'll do all of my work right after our meeting. Cause like, I'll be like, that's when I'm feeling the best. Cause I know at night, like, that's a write off. Like, that's when my symptoms are, obviously, as the day goes on, they get worse. So yeah, I try to just do everything that I can in the morning so that by nighttime it's like, or even like, honestly, like after lunch, I'm kind of just like more relaxed and can just hang out a bit more.
Yeah, so if you don't have a routine going right now, highly encourage you to see if you can find one that works for you, even if it's just like writing down everything you have to do in a day and making a tentative schedule of what that's going to look like. You don't, like, no one else is relying on you. Well,
and it's okay
maybe you have other.
And it's okay to make a list. Like, I always make lists of what I have to do in the day, and then, like, let's say you don't check them off. It's fine to carry them over to the next day. Like, no one's, like, unless it's like a severe due date of something. But, you know, like, get those things done first in your morning that are actually due. But then, you know, like, it's okay to carry stuff over if they're like, don't be hard on yourself that way. Like, yeah. So another thing.
Take care of yourself first.
Yeah. Another thing that we talk about on and we expand on our Instagram is getting outside and going for a walk or fresh air. I think that's really important.
I've been going for so many walks. My dog is like
so many.
In heaven.
Yeah, like even just a change of scenery, like just getting some fresh air, going for a nice walk, like try going with someone. I think also just like if you live with them, obviously during this time, if you don't, calling someone's always a good idea, but just for someone to chat with. But yeah, a good walk is for your mental health and physical health. Like feel like they help so much for both of those for me. And like me and my family went on a nice like hour and a half walk last night, and it was the nicest thing. Like, yeah.
I also really love listening to podcasts or audiobooks when I go for a walk. I used to do that a lot more than I do now. Like a few years ago when I wasn't really like a walker, I found that they really helped me get out of the house because I'd be like, oh, well, if I go for a walk, I can listen to this. But then now I'm at a point where I really, even if I'm going by myself, like I value the silence and just like being with my own thoughts. But if you're someone who needs a little bit more motivation at this point to get outside, I would really recommend finding a podcast that you love, like Concussion Talk, or just finding an audiobook to get you out of the house.
Very good. Yeah. Another great tip and coping strategy that we talk about is self-care. It's a really important one. It helps with your well-being and stress relief. And they're really good strategies that can, when you're under stress, to help, as we said, to fill up your bucket during like difficult times. And then we touch on like thinking of different types of self-care, like physical, psychological, relational, and social, as well as spiritual. So kind of just like thinking of all the different areas of self-care that you can like touch on, because there's different types. I always often think of like face masks when I think of self-care, but it's like meditation and like, you know, like your relationships with other people and like, you know, improving the not improving those, but like your support systems and stuff like that are so important and will help 100% during these times and during your recovery in general.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like a face mask or a bubble bath. It can like just I find it helpful. I took a course on mental health recently, and one thing that we did was we wrote out a list of like all the things that give us energy and improve our mood and like things that fill up our bucket. And for me, like that can be something simple um like cleaning or reading a book, like anything
Yeah.
for you. And it doesn't have to be like insta worthy or like
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like it can just anything, like calling your mom, whatever it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And having that list ready can be really helpful for you when you need it in the moment. Before this call, Felicia and I were talking about how um, we I was telling her that the other day I had such a bad headache, and I was like just in that like crisis mode where I was like it's never gonna get better, and like oh my god, like I have so much to do, and this is just terrible, and I just like I feel so hopeless. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I literally tell people all the time what they should be doing in this situation. Like I need to like, and then I went through her Instagram and was like clicking through the coping strategies, and I was like, oh yeah, this will help and this will help. But it can be hard when
Mm-hmm.
you're already in the moment or like in pain or like feeling down to know what you need to do to get out of it. So having a list, whether it's in your head or um, somewhere around you, that you know has lots of tips for you when you need them, can be really helpful.
Yes, 100% agree with that.
And
um,
these are also things like going back to the importance of making a routine and how we said that we'll build in time for things that we know recharge our batteries or allow us to give ourselves the rest that we need. These self-care activities can be things that you literally schedule into your routine.
yeah. And then our last little tip or coping strategy that we touched on was indulging in your hobbies. Um, it's like a great way to cheer you up and like get your mind off things, kind of giving you something to look forward to. It can also be added into your routine. Um, but something here that's been so important is to monitor your symptoms and recognize your limit. And that's something that is obviously like something you have to do for no matter what. Like even if it's when you're doing your self care, or when you're going on your walks, like when you're connecting with your loved ones, anything. But I have like a great example of that. I actually shared in my last post that I did on Keep Your Head Up. I was baking like a couple weeks ago, and something that seems like an everyday task to you know a lot of people, like just easy. But those with like brain injuries will understand that like that's it can be tough. I was getting all of my ingredients out, set the oven, was all excited to bake, do something I wanted to do for fun. Um, and then I like all of a sudden my headache, like I had a massive headache come on. My eyes were just like throbbing. I couldn't even like stand. Like I just was so overwhelmed. Like the things that like I don't even know what happened. Like it was just so bad. I like turned the oven off. I had to like put everything aside. Like usually I push through a lot of things. Like I'm a really type A like person, but I was like, no, like I have to listen like to what we're preaching. Like I said, like listen to your limits and don't push yourself. And so I stopped. I put everything aside. I like went upstairs to my room, laid down, and then I just came back to it once I was feeling better. And like I think it was such a like I said in my post, like a rewarding feeling. And like there's been a lot of examples of like pushing like coming back to things once you're feeling better in my life that I've had, and the feeling of like coming back once you're done or listening to your body is like a really rewarding feeling. And I don't know, I was like proud of myself that I like listened to what I was preaching. But it's important, like very important, to recognize your limits and monitor your symptoms while engaging in these hobbies and anything you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that you said that, because like one thing that we are not advocating for is like something that I think a lot of us have heard a lot on social media and like from certain friends, like that we have to come out of this pandemic like the best version of ourselves, or like learn a new language, or like become really fit. And like this is not the time to do that. What we're like, I don't know, it's not the time for me to do that, I can tell you that. But
well, yeah, like we're saying, like if it is the time for you, go nuts. But like, don't be hard on yourself. If like I've been hard on myself, being like, oh my god, like should I be enrolled in a course right now? Because I'm not working. Like, should I be? But don't be hard on yourself because you're not doing this stuff. Because I feel like crap. So why would I put more on my plate when I'm, So like, don't. The world is saying like, yeah, come out and be this. That's to people who maybe are feeling 100% and doing, So don't like, because if you're going to be hard on yourself, it's only going to make you feel even more worse because you're going to have more symptoms. So just, yeah.
All of these things that we're recommending, like these are for things that we think will help you feel better and like get through this with like while taking care of yourself. Like these aren't things to make you a better person. We're not saying go for a walk to get super fit. We're saying go for a walk to make yourself feel better and to like get through these hard days and get through this hard time. And like my hope for myself and like my hope for other people in my life is that we can get through this with more tools and more ease in taking care of our mental health than we had before, because we have so much opportunity to test them out and see what works for us, and just really be in a mindset of constantly monitoring how we're doing and how one activity versus another makes us feel.
Yeah. That's good. So, we'll our little closing, I guess. Well, I think I'd like to ask Nick.
Yeah, okay, so lower mic there, middle bracket, I'm sure, but
how you've been feeling during this pandemic.
I've been feeling great. I mean, I've been doing, as you said, Allie knows that I did a great yoga class with Allie on, it was on a Thursday night, was it? Thursday?
Like last Monday,
2 weeks ago?
I think.
Monday, well, geez, I'm way off. Well, either way, it was a good practice. And, but I do yoga otherwise twice a week. And, I go, like you guys were saying, I go for lots of walks. I miss the pool, but I get back there, and I'm feeling like I'm meals with mom all the time, so that's great. And Zoom calls with friends and stuff, which I don't find as bad as you guys seem to find. But it's 4 friends who are they're housemates at university, so I mean they're like family really, so. It was it was pretty easy for me to. There wasn't much movement either, so wasn't a lot of flailing around or anything like that. But Zoom calls and online yoga and walking and swimming, and well, not swimming because I can't do that, but I miss it. But and dinners and meals, lunches with my mom and stuff, and just keep in touch with friends.
That's good.
And playing chess.
That's good.
Online.
Good. Yeah. Keep that brain sharp.
Thanks.
All right. So, Allie, we're gonna the inspiration for others. So I think we're gonna finish this up here. Oh, you can
One
go.
thing. It's so hard not doing this side by side.
I know. I
Um,
know.
like the one point that we want to drive home is, I think more for like people who are currently like in the thick of recovery, like maybe their injury happened recently. Um, we like although like as you've heard, we've had good days and bad days through all of this, and um, it's still a balancing act with our symptoms. But one thing that's been really awesome to see is that having been through a brain injury made us stronger for this particular situation. And it's been really cool to see like everyone's like, oh, this is going to make you stronger and like it's going to pay off so much. And like this is one of the first times that we've been like, wow, like it actually did. And more so in the way that we're like, we can get through the uncertainty. We know that even though like we have to adapt and things are changing, that we know it's going to be okay and we'll make it work, and we're being really gentle on ourselves. And that's something that we learned from going through brain injury recovery. So I just like, if you're someone else who's going through a brain injury at this time or going through another challenge, just know that like it is going to make you stronger one way or another.
Yeah. Awesome.
And also, it's okay if this time period is, if you're really struggling right now and you're not feeling optimistic, you're not feeling like you have energy to do things that you used to do, like that's totally okay. This is unprecedented territory that is new for everyone. And if you're still like, I don't know how many weeks it's been, but if you're still struggling to get back on your feet and find your groove during this, that is absolutely okay. There is no there's no guidebook on this.
There's no right or wrong. Like
there's no right or wrong way to be pulling yourself through this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are really struggling and you want someone to talk to, we'd love to hear from you. And please feel free to check out the coping strategies and recommendations that we have on our Instagram page. We would love to help you in any way that we can.
Yeah, please feel free to message us, like Instagram message us, email us. Like we are here. Like we may know what you're going through. We've been there. We are here. Like please just reach out. We're always willing to connect and wanting to like hear your story, help you. Maybe you can even help us, like, so just reach out to us because we'd love to connect with you. So yeah. So thank you so much, Nick, for having us. And
thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Well, that was great. Thanks. Before we go, just want to just tell people how to reach out to you on Instagram and like the address, the exact group, your organization.
It's on Instagram. It's at Keep Your Head Up KW.
So KEEPYOURHEADUPKW.
Yes.
Our logo is like a turquoise brain. It says keep your head up.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to connecting.
Great.
Thank you.
Nick.
Music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound. www.bensound.com.